Viewers, brace yourselves. What you're about to hear will leave you speechless. Marek, the man Amy Roloff believed was her forever, has stunned everyone. A new woman, a secret wedding, and a heartbreak that sent Amy back into the very darkness she thought she'd escaped. How did it happen? How did a love story that once gave us hope turn into one of the most painful betrayals the Roloff family has ever seen? Tonight, we're uncovering the full truth from the first whispers of trouble to the shocking reveal of Marek's new wife, and the moment Amy Roloff's tears finally fell. Let's rewind a little. It all started so beautifully. Amy Roloff, the heart of Little People, Big World. After years of pain following her divorce from Matt, she finally found peace again in Marek, the charming real estate agent who promised her a simple, honest love. Their wedding day was picture-perfect sunlight spilling over Roloff Farms, Amy's eyes sparkling with new hope. Fans across the world cheered, thinking, finally, Amy gets her happy ending. But behind those smiles, something was already breaking. At first, the signs were so small you'd miss them. Chris started working late, phone calls that ended when Amy walked in, and a distant emotional quiet began to grow between them. Amy, being the optimist she was, ignored it. She told her friends, "Chris is just busy, he's planning something big." Oh, he was. But not the kind of plan she imagined. Months later, whispers began to swirl in Hillsborough. People saw Chris dining with someone not Amy at a cozy little restaurant near Portland. At first, no one dared to believe it. But one fan, a local, captured a photo, Chris, laughing, holding hands, with a woman none of us had ever seen before. When that picture hit social media, chaos erupted. Fans flooded Amy's page with concern. Some begged her not to believe the rumors. Others demanded answers. Amy stayed silent, but behind closed doors, her world began to crumble. It was a cold November night when Amy finally found the truth. She was at home, scrolling through her messages, when she stumbled upon an unfamiliar email sent accidentally to their shared account. It was from a wedding planner, addressed to Chris and Danielle. Amy froze. Her hands trembled. Danielle? Who was Danielle? She opened the email and saw it all. Dates, venues, guest lists, a wedding scheduled just weeks away. Her breath caught. It wasn't just an affair, it was a whole new marriage. The next morning, Amy confronted Chris. The cameras weren't rolling, but friends later said the argument could be heard down the street. Amy's voice cracked as she demanded, "Tell me it's not true, Chris. Tell me she's not real." Chris, pale and cornered, finally confessed. He admitted that Danielle, a woman he met through work, had been someone who understood him better. He said he didn't mean to hurt Amy, that it just happened. But Amy wasn't hearing it. The woman who once stood so strong collapsed in tears. Years of trust shattered in an instant. News spread faster than wildfire. Entertainment outlets jumped on the story. Marek caught in secret relationship. Amy Roloff betrayed again. Fans were divided. Some called it a setup. Others accused Chris of using Amy for fame. Amy's heartbreak became the center of attention, but she retreated, choosing silence over spectacle. Within months, Chris vanished from the spotlight. Rumors said he'd moved out of Oregon, entirely a quiet wedding in Arizona. A small ceremony with Danielle and a handful of guests. No cameras, no interviews, no acknowledgement of Amy at all. But photos eventually surfaced Chris smiling, arm around his new wife, as if nothing from the past had ever existed. When Amy saw those photos, she broke. On a quiet afternoon, while sorting through her old wedding album, she came across their vows, handwritten, still pressed between the pages. She whispered to herself, "How did I not see it coming?" Friends say she cried for hours, not just for Chris, but for the woman she used to be. She had believed in love again, opened her heart, only to be betrayed by the very man who'd promised to protect it. In an emotional moment shared with a close friend, Amy admitted that she felt foolish. She said, Maybe I fall too easily for the dream of love. I just wanted to believe someone could see me, not the show, not the fame, just me. Her words struck deep, because that's what Amy always represented: authentic love, human vulnerability, and strength through pain. But even strength has limits. Amy withdrew from filming for a while. The farm felt emptier. Her laughter, once bright and constant, had turned into quiet reflection. Matt Roloff. Her ex even reached out, offering words of comfort. The irony wasn't lost on her, the man she once fought with, now the one showing her compassion. Months later, Chris finally broke his silence in an exclusive interview. He claimed he hadn't cheated, that his relationship with Danielle began after his split with Amy, but fans weren't buying it. The timelines didn't add up. The email, the photos, the rumors, they told a different story. Chris insisted he wished Amy the best, but his words felt hollow, rehearsed. Amy never responded publicly. Behind the cameras, Amy began to struggle. Insomnia, tears that came without warning. Even the smallest things, a song, a photograph, a smell, brought back memories of Chris. One night, she wrote in her journal, "Love shouldn't hurt this much. Maybe I wasn't meant to find forever." It was the saddest kind of acceptance, the kind that comes when hope quietly fades. Months later, Amy appeared at a charity event. Fans were shocked at how fragile she looked, but when asked about Chris, she simply smiled a sad, knowing smile and said, "Life moves on, even when your heart doesn't." Her voice trembled slightly, but there was grace in her pain. That's Amy, always graceful, even when her world is falling apart. Eventually, Amy packed up the last of Chris's things: a box of photos, a watch, a note he once left her saying, "You're my forever." She sealed the box and whispered, "Not anymore." Then she placed it in the attic, a silent tomb of what could have been. In one of the most heartbreaking moments of her life, Amy returned to the old oak tree where she and Chris once carved their initials. She stood there, staring at the faded letters AC, surrounded by the scars of time. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She pressed her hand against the carving and whispered, "Goodbye, Chris." And for the first time in months, she felt a strange peace, the kind that only comes after you've lost everything. Viewers. Amy Roloff's story reminds us that love doesn't always end in forever. Sometimes it ends in lessons, painful, unforgettable lessons that shape who we become. Chris Marek's new life may look perfect from the outside, but behind every smile, there's a shadow of what was lost. And Amy, though heartbroken, continues to stand tall. Because even through tears, she remains what she's always been: a woman of courage, faith, and endless resilience. This was the love story that started with joy, burned with passion, and ended in heartbreak. Chris Marek's new wife revealed, and Amy Roloff's tears still flow. Thank you for watching. This story isn't just about betrayal, it's about the strength to rise again, even when love betrays you. Because sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is let go.
Happens when a new house brings back old wounds? What happens when a woman finally finds peace, only for her family to turn it into chaos? Today, we're diving deep into Amy Roloff's shocking new move and why her dream home has become the center of major drama in the Roloff family. Because believe it or not, Amy's brand new house isn't just a fresh start. It's a symbol of everything that's been broken: love, loyalty, and legacy. For years, fans of Little People Big World have watched Amy Roloff transform her life piece by piece, from her painful divorce with Matt to rebuilding her confidence to finding love again with Chris Marek. Amy has done it all in front of millions of viewers. But just when it seemed like she'd finally found peace, something unexpected happened. A move, a house, and a storm of emotions no one saw coming. Amy's decision to buy a new home should have been simple, a happy milestone after years of heartbreak. But behind the scenes, sources close to the Roloff family say her choice of location has everyone talking, because Amy didn't move far away from the Roloff farms. In fact, she stayed closer than anyone expected. And that apparently didn't sit well with certain people. Matt Roloff, who's been rebuilding his life with Karen Chandler, reportedly feels uncomfortable about Amy being so nearby, especially since tensions from the farm sale and property disputes never truly cooled off. Karen, meanwhile, is said to be frustrated. She allegedly told friends that Amy can't seem to let go of the farm, the past, or Matt. According to insiders, Karen wanted a clean break, but Amy's house has made that nearly impossible. But here's where things get even more complicated. Amy's own kids are split over her decision. Zach, who's had his own clashes with Matt over the farm, is said to understand his mom's choice. He sees it as her taking control of her independence. But Tori, she reportedly thinks her mom's move might stir up more family drama, the kind that never truly fades away. And then there's Chris Marek, Amy's husband, supportive, calm, and patient, but even he wasn't fully prepared for how messy things would get once Amy's dream home entered the picture. Because while Amy saw it as her fresh start, others saw it as an unwelcome reminder of everything that's gone wrong between them. When Amy first toured the house, her eyes lit up. It had the charm she loved: cozy rooms, a big kitchen, a welcoming porch. To her, it wasn't about size or status, it was about healing. But as the news spread through the Roloff circle, what should have been a joyful moment quickly turned into whispers, frustration, and tension. Family gatherings suddenly felt colder, phone calls became shorter, and behind every polite smile, there was a hint of resentment. So why exactly has Amy's new home created this much chaos? Is it really about location or something much deeper? Because according to close friends, Amy's house represents more than just real estate. It's a declaration of independence that not everyone is ready to accept. And as we'll soon see, this new chapter might reopen wounds the Roloffs hoped were long healed.
Sometimes, moving on isn't about leaving the place behind. It's about finding the strength to start over, even when the past refuses to let go. For Amy Roloff, buying a new house wasn't just about comfort. It was about reclaiming something that had been taken from her, her peace. But little did she know, her peaceful new chapter would soon become one of the most talked about stories in the Roloff family and in the entire Little People Big World fandom. Amy's quiet dream. After decades of life on Roloff farms, raising kids, running the household, and building memories with Matt, Amy found herself in a strange emotional space after their divorce. She loved the farm. Every inch of that land carried her story, from planting pumpkins to watching her children grow up. But it also carried memories she couldn't bear to relive anymore. She once said, "That farm was home, but it also became a place that reminded me of what I lost." So when the time came to move on, Amy didn't rush. She spent months searching for the perfect house, somewhere cozy, somewhere that didn't feel like a replacement for the farm, but something entirely her own. Chris Marek, her then fiancé, supported her every step of the way. He wanted her to find a space that felt like hers, not something connected to her past with Matt. But here's where things took a twist. When Amy finally found her dream home, there was a small catch. It wasn't far from the farm. In fact, it was close enough that Matt and Karen could easily drive by if they wanted. To some, that might sound harmless, but for the Roloffs, it stirred deep emotions. Matt was reportedly not thrilled. He told friends that Amy could have chosen anywhere else, and even joked she just can't leave the farm behind. Karen, on the other hand, didn't find it funny. Sources close to her say she felt like Amy's move was a statement, a way of staying involved, of keeping a subtle eye